Hello there, it's another beautiful edition of Talk to Solomon on your favorite YouTube channel, Aniwaba. You know already, ANIWABA. My name is Solomon Mensah. I have a huge guest today. Let's go straight up and talk to him. Let's welcome Johnnie Hughes.
Solo.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes, my brother.
You are a big man.
Well, not yet. We're still work in progress.
Really?
Yeah.
I see.
I still believe I'm work in progress. I still believe that there's a lot more that we can do.
Wow.
Yes.
You were a journalist. You were a musician, if I should say. I mean, I've known you for, I think, since 2014.
Right.
When I met you at GIJ.
Right.
And there is nothing that I think you can do. You do everything.
Well,
you get it?
Yeah, well, if you think about it and you allow your heart to commit to it, you can achieve it. I always believe that anything is possible once you believe, and that's been my mantra, that's been my guide and my hallmark. You must have God at the center of it, and there you go.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow. Let's begin with the music. How did you learn to sing? When did you learn it?
Well, so my musical journey is quite an interesting one, if I'd say it so. I grew up with a mother and a father who were very much into the church.
Okay.
I came to learn later that my father had been a member of the church choir, my mother same. At some point, I mean, when I was growing up, they had stopped robing, as we call it in the Anglican church. But I was always close to music. I mean, my dad used to play some martial music at home because of his work that he did. My mom loved to sing. I mean, she would wash and sing, she would cook and sing, she would sweep and sing. Music was all over me. And then at some point I got to develop a special kind of interest, particularly because I attend the Anglican church. And the Anglican church, I like to call it a musical church, because from start to finish of the church, it's music. To say the Lord be with you, it has to be sung. The Lord be with you. And then the people will respond, and also with you. So every single thing in the church is music, from psalms to canticles to hymns to anthems to whatever it is, was music. And then it got to a point where the Anglican church inculcated the use of live band, if you will, band kind of music, the big band kind of music. The church I attend, St. Joseph the Work Anglican Church, had what we call, or still has, angelic voices, of which I'm a proud member. And bless the soul, one of my contemporaries, Francis Vanderpoel Elgo, who taught me how to play the keyboard, had me with him most of the time. So he will play and I'll be watching, he'll be running me through and telling me, hey, this is C major, this is F major, this is F sharp, and all of that, and be teaching me few of them. So it started in church, if you will. When I first held a microphone, it started when there's a studio at Latibia Koshi, Ben Verge, and Reverend Father Kumi Bruce's studio.
There?
Yeah, still does.
Okay.
And this was a studio that used to host the likes of Jeduble Ambule, Samini, what do you call it? Name them, all of them. Jasibre, Jamina. They all used to come and record there because there were only a few studios in Accra that had the setting of a live band where you could actually come and rehearse for live band performances like what we see these days. So all the top stars used to come there. I mean, the CBSA guys have been there. Stevie Wonder had come to record there, and I used to go to that studio. Wow. So I went there to record a voiceover one day, and the gentleman thought that I could sing. So he said, well, he plays a regular songs, Dana, say all those ones. He chords them and I sing along. He chords them and I sing along. Says, okay, that's fine. Then the next thing I know, he calls me and tells me there's something coming up on TV3 called Bands Alive. Okay. And that he has gone to pick a form for the band. Okay. And he had put my name there as the lead singer. Wow. And I said, well, I've never done this before, so how do you put me up as the lead singer for a band? I mean, of course, he had a band already called the BIB, the Beverage International Band. Okay. So I took on the challenge. We were set for auditions at TV3. Charles Samoa, the legendary, was there. Mark Tonto, bless his soul, was there. and Rex Omar
Wow.
was also there as one of the guest judges.
Wow.
And I was supposed to sing to impress them to pick me. There were 52 bands.
Wow.
Imagine you're singing to
52
bands, 52 different bands.
Contesting to be part of the
Bands Alive competition.
Wow.
So this was a novice.
And they were picking 10 or something?
9.
9.
And this was, no, I think 12.
Okay.
They were picking 12 bands, but we're 9 contestants for each group. Now, this was the guy who had not done any kind of serious singing commercially. At worst, you have done 1 or 2 choruses in church, but you'd have not have taken it on to national TV to say that's what you want to do. Then you are pushed here into that frame, and audition starts. Okay, so what songs did we pick? One Drop by Bob Marley. Then there was a self-composed song that B.I.B. had at the time, Aquaba. And then there was another, I think, What a Wonderful World or something. A song that shocked me to stardom. Louis Armstrong's What a Wonderful World. So we came for the auditions, and by the grace of God, we sailed through. After we sang One Drop, and then we sang What a Wonderful World, and then we hit them with Aquaba, Mactonto stopped and says, you had this song and you didn't play it first. You guys have qualified, and that was it. Now, that competition had the likes of Aquabwa, the likes of Francis Samu.
Aquabwa Jr.?
Yes, Aquabwa Jr.
Okay.
He was not a singer then, he was a keyboardist for one of the bands. Eventually went to the finals, and I think their band was 4th or so. But Aquabwa was playing. Rusty Kenya is very well known all across the places. Dominic Kwachi was also part, the guy who plays a lot of very mean guitar. Most of the guys had actually had, for a greater part of their lives, played in a band. So you could just imagine what we were competing against, even though some of my colleagues in the B.I.B. band at the time, Big P, as we like to call him, the owner of the band, Daniel Entry, Samuel Mensah, no, Abala was not part, it was Hammond who had come to replace Samuel Mensah, and a couple of others. So these are guys who were come to play. Now, we passed the audition, fast forward. Competition has started. How do you rub shoulders with the guys who already are doing what you want to do? So they bring the set of songs every week, maybe 24 songs, maybe 30 songs. I relax, pick your songs. They all pick the songs. Some pick the very popular songs, some pick the very trendy songs, like we do these days. I mean, if there's a musical competition, people will rush and pick the Kiddies, the Kwame Eugenes, the King Promise, the Adina. People will pick those songs that are. I would ordinarily, out of that list, wait for them to pick everything, and then I'll go back and pick maybe a pageantry, because people would not immediately choose it as their first. But that kind of song was, if you will, the timeless kind of song. So I would pick those ones. So you find me singing What a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong. You find me singing Let's Be Friends by Johnny Nash. You find me singing Don't Worry, Be Happy by Bobby McFerrin. You find me singing Twist Again. So I would pick those songs. And as a band, because I had not done that before, but I believed in the potential. And then you go on YouTube. You pick the videos of those songs. You check out the bio of those artists. You check out how they have lived through their musical career. You rehearse and you mimic what they're doing. So for me, because I had a stage acting background, I brought that in. So for every song that I'm giving,
stage acting too.
Yes. So for every song that I'm giving, I pick it up and I say, I am going to act the role out, albeit sticking with the key, because it's a quite tricky one. So I pick Solomon Mensah. Solomon Mensah has a song and it's very popular. That's the song that has been given to me. I pick out Solo's video, I pick the song, I check out his shadow, I clone Solo, and I come to deliver, of course, with my influence.
Okay.
So that was how I was running through Bands Alive.
Wow.
And that's how I won over a lot of people, because you would sing the song and it sounds just like what's on the record. You get the point. Yeah. So that's what, for me, distinguished, and that's how my musical career started.
Wow.
Fast forward, I went back to church. I still play in church. I like to be in church. I like to be before
You play
God.
keyboard in church?
Exactly, and I sing.
Up to now?
Yes, I do.
I see.
I do.
On Sundays?
I still find time to play in church
That's great.
every Sunday.
That's great.
Yeah.
And so the competition, who won?
Well, so We were third.
Okay.
There were only 4 winners at the top.
Okay.
Amen was first. Amen had the only prominent female trumpeter at the time, Joanna Janaka.
Okay.
She was there. There's Pinto as well, a couple of them, they won. And then there was Liberty Band. Liberty Band also was a church from, I think, the Assemblies of God, and they won. Of course, they had the numbers in terms of votes, they won. And then we came third, and then M1 came fourth in that direction. But of all the awards, we won the most exciting band, and I won the most exciting performer for the season.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, why are you not singing commercially?
I think that along the line, I found some love in journalism and communication and doing consultancy in that field as well. That's not an excuse though, but at some point, I don't know, it just went away. I thought, well, stick with church, sing in church, yeah, do your thing.
But it's not gone.
Well,
because,
it's not gone.
I mean, when we TV3, when we have occasions that demand that we sing, even when they bring in the band, even maybe the army, you know, the band from maybe police or whatever.
Yeah.
For many a time, I see you go grab the mic and you sing perfectly.
Well, music doesn't die.
So I think you should do commercial music.
Well,
you combine it with journalism.
Music doesn't die. Anything is possible. I mean, personally, I combine a lot of things. I MC a lot of programs, corporate, private programs. I consult. I act when I have to. Like I started in Sadia, for example, and I use my experience from my stage acting days to come and play in Sadia. I'm a man of many parts. That's all I can say.
I mean, I call you Jollof because you have everything.
It's the glory belongs to God.
So, when did the stage acting come in?
Well, stage acting started when I was very, very, very young. Back in the day at Fleury Creche. That's one of the many schools I attended, even though I don't like to place a lot of premium on the stream of schools you have attended, really. I mean, the impact of what you do in life should be the testament of how much knowledge and wisdom and experience you have acquired over time. But I will cast it back to Fleury Creche. I mean, so it started back then. You would have the recitals, and I played the angel Gabriel, in the nativity story, and I played it so well, and I could remember, you know, the lines that were given to me and how I enacted it, and I still can see remember in my mind's eye how the whole, you know, the pupils' graduation and how the applause was on after I'd finished delivering my lines. It was quite refreshing. That would be my first. Then back at church, you would find me and two of my other colleagues, one is late, would do a lot of stage drama, especially when I have in the Anglican church the Mandarin Sunday. We would do a lot of stage drama and all of that. Then on to secondary school, and then after that. So it's been quite a journey for me. Interesting. Wow. I spent most of my time in between secondary school and that period that I had to wait till I got back into school at the university level, at the National Theatre, Kid Fest, Fun World. It was a big deal, you know, back in the day. Growing up, it was a big deal, and the National Theatre, I must say, gave me an opportunity to sharpen and hone that skill. Folks Place was one of the many places at National Theatre where a lot of us grew up, and we appreciate the kind of talent injection and polishing that was done there those days.
And the Sadia, who first approached you that thought you could act?
Well, so the general manager of Adesa Productions Limited at the time, Mr. Edisedo, is a man that I worked with before. He had worked at Charterhouse at the time, and Charterhouse had been in charge of the production of something that I did for the Johns Hopkins University out there, and also the Ghana Health Service and the Behavioral Change Support Project. We called it the Good Life Game Show. It was a program that was dedicated to 5 thematic areas: malaria, nutrition, maternal neonatal care, and many others. So I had been the quiz master, and the format of the quiz is that you would have contestants come in, they compete for 3 stages, and then the winner takes home 1,000 CDs plus some souvenirs as well.
Okay.
Then they move on to the next stage. Interestingly, Giovanni Caleb played in one of those my quiz shows at the time. So I would usually tease him.
Okay.
He played in one of my quiz shows. So he knew that I had that brain power, intellect, and acumen because the show was fully scripted. It was scripted by George Quay.
Okay.
It was my producer at the time. Yes.
Okay.
It was my producer at the time. And George Quay and his English, he would string words beautifully together. So he would pile the script for you, and you would have to deliver the script the way it is. And very beautiful language, very exciting, quite fascinating, and I delivered. And I think it was one of the things that Edicedo saw, coupled with what I'd done on TV3 New Day, and thought that, well, this is the guy. Let's give him a role in it. And Sadia is scripted. I delivered the script, and I'm happy that I did the best I can.
Yeah, you really did well.
I'll be happy to do more scripts any day, anytime.
So the movie producers should come, right?
Well, yes, why not? It's time consuming though. I remember that on the Sadia set at some point, we could shoot late into the night around 1 a.m.
Wow.
And I had to come back to New Day the next morning at 4:30 a.m.
Really?
Yeah, it's a lot of hard work. If you people just see the end product. They see, oh, he's on TV3 New Day every morning. They don't know that when at 11:45 p.m. Martin Abidu replies to something that the presidency had written, you would have to read it and digest it and read it again, understand it properly before you come on air the next morning. Martin Abidu has written it, he's gone to sleep.
Yes.
The president has written through his secretary and gone to sleep. It is your job to read, understand, digest, pull out, tease out the questions and push out the questions.
Yeah.
The questions must be relevant.
Yeah.
So people just see that end product. Oh, Sadia is on air, it's beautiful. The nights of rehearsals and memorizing your scripts and forming your character and understanding your character and doing the blocking and all of that, it comes with a lot of dedication and time. So yes, the scripts are welcome, but it must be worth the while.
You mean kwacha? You mean cash? Well, how much are you going to charge?
Every hard work deserves to be rewarded. Every hard work in this world deserves to be rewarded. So we'll look at the value of work you're asking for us to do, and then we'll determine how much must go in. Of course, you are obliged to pay taxes to the state, so it must not be detrimental to you. It must be mutually beneficial to everybody else.
Nice one. So you mentioned New Day. I know you from TV Africa.
Yeah.
Was it your first TV job?
No. So I mentioned earlier that what do you call it? I had done the Good Life game show. The Good Life game show was showing on Viasat 1.
Okay.
At the time.
Okay.
So
it was a segment for Viasat 1?
No, it was a whole program.
A whole program.
It's a program on its own. It's about 30 minutes package program.
Okay.
It ran for 5 seasons or so.
Wow.
That was through, could be 3 years. Yeah, almost 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 5 or 6 seasons. I don't remember immediately. But we had done it. And I'm proud of the work that we did for the Good Life game show, because prior to that, people had actually received mosquito nets, the long-lasting insecticide-treated nets, and I decided to use it for their maize farms, to cordon off their maize farms. People had received condoms in the hinterlands and decided that it was not worth the while. It was not like what they felt if they had done whatever they wanted to do the way God intended it. People had gotten pregnant over and over again when they had the opportunity to use the IUD. They didn't fall for it. They didn't fall for the pills. It was on the Good Life game show, for example, that I learned that exclusive breastfeeding is important. There's fore milk, there's hind milk. So you give birth to a child 6 months straight, just breast milk. There's also colostrum. That's the first yellowish milk that comes immediately the baby is born, which is very important. It has antigens in there. So I learned pretty much on the Good Life game show. I learned nutrition for children. I learned about malaria, severe malaria, acute malaria, and so many other things. So I learned about a lot of things. I learned a lot of things on the Good Life game show, and I'm proud of it. So we did the Good Life game show on Viasat 1, and then I moved to TV Africa. Ketsi Yao Sechi.
Okay.
So I'd gone to
the basketball man.
Yes, the Duke of African basketball, I like to call him. I'd been on Yao Sechi's show with Kwame Rasta, Kwame Ajaman-Beko, over time. I mean, we discussed. He had a segment on the show that we discussed lifestyle and trending issues and entertainment. You know, we're entertainment pundits at the time on the show. It's one of the many things I've also done.
Yes.
Now,
because I once listened to you on Plus FM.
Right.
On the AM Plus.
AM Plus. Yeah. That's AM Plus with some effects. So yes, we were on the show. We used to speak our minds, bring our experiences to bear, talk about stuff, and it was time for Yao to go.
Okay.
And Yao says, well, he wanted me to be in charge of that segment. So
Rundown.
Yes, the Rundown show. We spoke with management, and the rest is history.
Wow.
I brought my own pair of shoes, and it fit so well because I couldn't have stepped into his shoes. So I brought my own pair to fit perfectly. I think I made my mark there as well.
Yeah.
So I was at TV Africa then, and I had a call from Mr. Max Fuga.
Okay.
And he said, well, there's something that's happening. A new radio station had come up. They wanted hands, and he wanted me to be part of it. Prior to that, there was a lady I had worked with at TV Africa called Abiba Odenke. Okay. She's a banker now.
I see.
She had been at TV Africa with us. She was with the programs department. So when she got here to TV3, she was asked to create a program for Saturday morning, which is Ideal Home, which is what Etanam Say does now. So she called me and she said, well, can we put the program together? I said, okay, fine. So we thought together, and then we shaped the show. So I can confidently say that Ideal Home on 3FM, as it is a creation of Abiba Odenke and Johnnie Hughes.
Wow.
So we went ahead to choose Sadao Watanabe's jazz song, When We Make a Home. And then that was it. And I was the first guest on Ideal Home with Deborah Kwabla at the time. So it was after the show that Max Fuga called me and said he wants me to come and work, come and host a news and current affairs program on the show.
I see.
And I told him I'd not done that before. All my life I just done entertainment, lifestyle, culture, and all of that. He says no, he thinks I can do it. I said, okay, well, that's fine. So in the first 2 or 3 months, I was juggling between TV3 or Media General and what do you call it, TV Africa, because the contract was just that I come and host the show and go away, host the show and go away. So I would go and host the Rundown show. No, I would come and host, I'll come and be on the morning show with Winston Abua, do the paper review segment, and then I will leave and go to TV Africa because the morning show started on TV Africa at 6:30. So I would come to TV3 in the morning, finish the paper review segment by 6:15, 6:20, then I'll pick a motorbike and I would go to TV Africa.
Okada, you mean?
Yes, and I would dress up and go on air and finish my morning show. So I was doing that because aside the Rundown show, I was also doing the morning show on TV Africa. So I was shuffling until I finally put in my resignation at TV Africa. I thought that I needed to focus on TV3, Media General, and I came in. So we came in, we created Community Connect as well, the program
Fridays
that I
on
host.
3FM.
We also created, there was a program called Forever Eden. There's no longer, we created it. We created Revealed. It was on Thursday. GH Classics, we used to call it Heritage High Life. I hosted the first one. We created a concept before Papa Kofi came in. So I created that concept. Wrote the first LPM for it with Lois, of course. Hosted the first edition of the show and played. So I can confidently also say that on 3FM, I've hosted nearly every show apart from sports.
Wow. So you've been with Media General like for 5 years now?
No, my 6th year. I came in 2015.
Wow.
Yes, just around the time that the station had just started. So when we started, the branding in the station was not even done. The station had not been launched. I mean, we're just using 92.7. We're not saying 3FM. We're just saying 92.7 at the time. One thing led to the other, and here we are. Yeah.
And now you are the bedrock of New Day on TV3.
God is the bedrock of New Day.
Charlie, you are a big man.
God is the bedrock of New Day.
you've won RTP awards.
Yes, I have.
For TV Personality of the Year.
Right.
And then
TV Personality of the Year, TV Morning Shows of the Year. I think about two times. Yes, 2 times in a row. Radio Development Show of the Year, that as well. There are a couple others from the US, and a couple of others. I can't remember.
And I think Eastern Regional DJ Branch also gave you citation.
Exactly, citation of honor for what I've done. As I said, I can't remember all because every now and then you get a citation either from AUCC or you get one from this, from that. People bring stuff to you. So yeah, here we are.
How do you feel knowing that your hard work it's paying off?
Well, it's a mixed feeling. First, you're happy, you're gratified that people are recognizing that you're doing something, and it's not for yourself, but it's for society, it's for the good of mankind. But again, then it presses you to do more. It presses you to improve. It presses you to show more quality. It presses you to be on top of your game. It presses you to draw others along, and it presses you to strive to leave a legacy behind.
I'm glad you mentioned drawing people along. I know Kwesi Chedakwa
Right.
is your boss, if I should say.
Right.
Have you also mentored someone, or you have plans on mentoring?
I have a lot of mentees, and I take time to thank Mr. Kwesi Chedakwa for spotting me on TV3 Bands Alive. That's where he spotted me, on TV3 Bands Alive. And my first TV experience as a host was Kwesi Chedakwa. KKD the finest, that's what I like to call him. I call him Chief because he's my chief mentor. And he's such a wonderful man. He gave me an opportunity on GTV, a live show for a novice, a show that he was built to host. He just gave me the show, gave me a 3-piece suit to wear. Yes, his suit. He brought
the 3-piece suit. Can Japan says you buy one?
He brought his suit.
Oh, it's like you are ignoring my question.
Because I actually don't respond to a lot of things. A lot of people say a lot of things. I don't respond to them. Okay, so you don't respond to Canada. There's actually a principle that my father taught me when I was a very young boy, that forward is the way, focus is the game. So I focus on the things that I'm looking at and I'm looking for. So many detractors on every way, and they say stones and sticks are thrown at the fruit-bearing tree. So I focus on that. So he brought me his suit, and I wore the suit, and I delivered the show, and subsequently followed him to present the Ghana Music Awards. Wow. It was one of the things that he did. So I was his PA and following him around, and he will be teaching me stuff as we go along. It was on that occasion I met a lot of people at the conference center. Ice Prince was there, all of those big stars that come to perform at the Music Awards. And then I got the Good Life game show gig, going to pick his check for him at Charterhouse.
Oh, I see.
And when I got there, they were running the audition.
Okay.
I accidentally got into the audition. And
you were just going to pick the check? I
was going to pick a check. And George asked if I wanted to audition because they were auditioning.
Wow.
I said, yes, I want to audition. And I auditioned, and that was
That's miraculous.
No, it's not miraculous. It's preparation that meets opportunity. Yes. So KKD told me one thing. He says, be prepared for the opportunity and not have it, than to have the opportunity and not be prepared for it.
That's profound.
Be prepared for the opportunity and not have it, than have the opportunity and not be prepared for it. And for me, that's a central theme, of life, that you must always be prepared. And if I had not been prepared then, I'm not sure I would have been here, because it was what I did on the Good Life game show that gave Yalsichi a hint that I could do what I do, that gave Akuchemhine Kwansa the sense to say, okay, he can do the morning show. That gave Masfuga to call me to come on radio. That would give the heads of news at the time, Ibrahim Sare, Beatrice, Abi, the opportunity and of, if you like, the leaning to say, come and be on TV3 New Day, which is why you want to host me today. So it's preparation that meets opportunity, and not vice versa. Because when opportunity comes and you're not prepared for it, it will go. It comes only once.
That's it. And I mean, I'm short for this. You are such a fantastic man, you know.
I try.
You are humble too, you know. And for people who don't know Johnnie in person, he's down to earth. On Channel, Johnnie will be on Channel, you know. And I'm glad for that, you know. It's good
God.
to know.
Glory belongs to God.
It's good to know you personally.
Glory belongs to God. Good to know you too.
I know you are married.
Yes, I am.
With a kid.
Proudly so, yeah.
How is he doing?
Oh, Bempon is, I think he's a world leader waiting to explode. I think that he will do better than I'm doing. Yes, so he's very fine. He's greater than Accra. He will obviously be bigger than Ghana. And that's all we pray.
Do you envisage he'll be a journalist?
I don't know, and I won't dictate what he has to become. I will place the options before him and not to skew it towards you become a doctor, a lawyer, or what do you call it, an engineer, like was done to us. Because those were the options presented to us. Either you're a doctor, or you're a lawyer, or you're a pharmacist, or you're a nurse, those kinds of jobs. Today, there are jobs in robotics, there are jobs in artificial intelligence, there are many jobs. So you place the options before him and let him decide based on his interest and capability what he wants to do. Of course, based on guidance and counseling that will come to him.
Okay. And he's 1 or 2 now?
Well, he is my son.
Johnnie, a bad boy. Let's talk about Ghana's most beautiful.
Right.
You've been hosting it for
since 2016. Yes, since 2016, I got onto Ghana's most beautiful place, and I've done it to the best of my ability.
Yeah. You've been a fantastic host on that one too.
I tried.
I remember
I brought my own pair of shoes. I couldn't have filled Gideon's shoes, so I bought my own pair of shoes.
You are doing it so well. I remember you had one of the shows. I think you launched it at Abrio.
Right, it was at the Abrio Gardens. Yeah.
I think that was. I always have that in mind.
Okay.
It was so fantastic, you know.
Well, so that Abrio Gardens launch, quite interesting, and here's how it happened. So, Mr. Winfred Affle, the general manager for shared services and CEO of Media General. He was then the chief operating officer of TV3.
Okay.
Then we had not formed the group. So, or maybe the group was in the works. So he was the chief operating officer of TV3. And he had called me, had his PA at the time, Anel, a doctor, called me to the office and he told me, Johnny, I have an engagement coming up. Some of my friends, they have an engagement, but it's a royal engagement. I want you to write a poem because I heard you're a poet.
Okay.
I want you to write a poem so that you can go and perform at that function.
Wow.
And I want you to mix it, intersperse it with a local language. So he told me, I'm a poet. I've won awards for poetry. So I decided, well, this is okay. It's a task. I can do it. So I quickly rushed back to the office, the radio department where I was at the time, and scribbled the poem and brought it back in an hour. And then when I brought it, he said, okay, read out the poem. So I read the poem out. He says, this is beautiful. I like the poem, but you are not going to perform at an engagement ceremony. You are actually going to step in for Gideon Aikwe.
I see.
Who would not be in town because he had another assignment. You know, Gideon at the time was the boss at the Ghana Tourism Authority. So says, you are going to step in for Gideon at the time.
Wow.
And I was shocked and surprised at once. I couldn't believe it. I said, well, Ghana's was beautiful, it's huge, it's big.
Yeah.
How do you expect me to do it? So thoughts were running through my mind. But then again, Gideon had been somebody I had admired. The show had been something I had followed for some time. And because of my love for African history, anthropology, and our culture and traditions, I love it. And I like to be fully immersed in it. I don't see most of the things we do as fetish. So I stepped into it. So Mr. Affle brought his own car, asked the driver to bring his own car all the way to my home, picked me, and drove me to Abri, waited for me and brought me back.
Wow.
Now here's the deal. We get to Abri, show was supposed to start at 2. we had finished our preparations. We had finished everything, set up, everything was done. Show was supposed to roll, but we're waiting for some of the royalty to come. I mean, they had to come in succession until the big man himself comes. That's Otubo Jan Kwesi is the boss in the Abri area. So we're waiting for him. Then he came, and we had tested the talk back. So I had a talk back in my ears. We had tested the talk back. About 6 cameramen, 4 on the ground, 1 roaming, and there was a drone, all connected, you know, to what do you call it? The talk back, and it was in my ear. Then a few minutes to the start of the show, something goes wrong.
Really?
The line jumps, and all 6 people are in my ears, plus my director.
I see.
Mr. Samir Dan, who was the producer at the time. So he came to tell me something had gone wrong. So we managed. So the day you saw me at Abri and you were admiring what I was doing, I had 6 people in my ears anytime the director spoke.
Wow.
Because the director will be telling, if it's Tano, the director will be telling Tano, I don't like this shot. Pan to the Queen Mother on the right. Then he says, John Passer, give me an aerial shot on the drone. Then he calls, boy, give me a medium long shot of the king. So all of those things were in my ears, and I was still delivering my lines. It was not as if a script had been written, but you're just running.
Wow.
It can only be God. And I must thank my right-hand man, also a protege of KKD, Reggie Spice. You know, we went to KKD training school. KKD told him many years ago that he would be a great producer and an editor. And he said I'll be a great presenter. Here we are. This was about...
That's a prophecy.
2007, 2008.
Wow.
And here we are. So that day, what you saw, which you admired, which everybody watched, was what was happening.
Wow.
But we braved the storm and we ran through.
I never knew this.
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't see it.
No, you don't have to let it show.
Yeah.
That's what KKD training school does to you.
Does he really have a school? Or it's a personal... because I have to interview this man.
It's a KKD.
I admire him. I have to interview him. He has done so well.
It's a KKD training school. You won't find a school there, but you get closer to him and you learn a lot of stuff. And he's open, like a book. He will teach you. People think he's too sophisticated and complicated, but he is really, really open and down to earth. So it was one of the things he taught us, that the job is the job, and focus on what's happening now. So you're running a live show. You don't need to be focusing on what is to come. You are focusing on what's happening now. There will be a break, there will be an intermission, there will be something. Then you can focus on what's happening now. Don't focus on what's gone by. Focus on what's happening now, and you will deliver. Wow. So on that occasion, that was the principle I used. It was quite tough. I mean, not many people can do that. But yes, God came through for us. Experience helped. Talents came to play, and here we are.
Great. Congrats. I mean, congrats for that.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you.
And so hosting ladies, 10 as it were in the past, now 16. How do you manage to compose yourself knowing that beautiful ladies are on the stage?
My wife is the prettiest of them all. My mother is equally pretty. Yabiama.
Yeah. Okay.
My wife is the prettiest of them all, and I call her Tuntumbroni. My mom is pretty as well. I've been around ladies, but there's also the key subject of discipline that you must have. You're working with them. You're not working because you want to take something from them. You're not working because you want to flirt with them. They are doing their pageant, and you're doing your job. And the ladies will tell you, I hobnob with them, I play with them, we chat, I crack jokes. Sometimes when it's eviction night and they know, they're so tensed, you crack jokes. So sometimes even on the stage when, I tense them up a bit and it's all moody, I crack a joke and you see that even the evictees, they crack up laughing. So it's a kind of rapport and skill that you must have in order to run the show. And I don't put myself in their contest. I put myself in the show. I don't put myself in their contest. So they are running the contest. I am managing the contest. I am not a contestant. I have no interest in any contestant. I don't want any contestant to win over the other. I give equal time to everybody. The producers ensure that that is done. You master your subject, you deliver it. I announce you, I take the judges' comments, I make comments on you, you go back. If I have additional information, I give it out, I run my show, I go away.
And you don't get tempted. I know you say your wife is the most beautiful lady in the world, but you don't get tempted in any way?
I can always let you ask the ladies themselves.
Okay.
Because if a man, you get tempted, you would make advances. You can ask any of them since 20, what do you call it, if I made advances at them.
If never?
You won't find me.
Okay. Okay. I see.
Feels too hard to believe, eh?
Oh, no, not really, not really. I mean,
you would have fallen.
Oh, no. I mean, you're learning from me. You're learning from me.
Oh my God.
And so, I mean, you can choose to answer this. When you met your now wife, when you met her, did she raise doubt that you are surrounded by all these girls? And
when I met my wife, we had very, very exciting times. We still do have very, very exciting times. And I speak Pidgin with my wife, for example.
Okay.
We speak Ghana.
Okay.
I try.
She speaks Ghana.
Yeah.
I know she's from Bono. Right?
That's right.
Okay.
So I'm learning the Bono. I'm trying to master.
I'm also learning the Ghana.
So that kind of conversation, it didn't come up. I mean, because if there's that trust element, those doubtful thoughts won't come up. They will never come up. Besides, I appreciate my wife so much to the extent that she understands the kind of work I do. She knows I meet people. So you won't find her. And there have been instances when I brought my wife to work on Sunday evening.
Okay.
You know, before I go on air, she's there. She meets the ladies, they meet her, they know her. In fact, most of the contestants know my wife. They call her, she appears, they know my son.
Okay.
So if you know my wife, you know my son. Where are you going?
Johnnie Hughes.
Yeah.
You are a big man.
Oh no, I'm still
I want to be like you.
I'm still aspiring. I'm still aspiring.
So this year's, I think I've heard the announcement for for this year's contest. You are hosting 16 girls again.
Well, that will be determined.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's always determined afterwards. The auditions are done, and like KKD says, focus on now. What's happening now?
Okay.
Now is the auditions. So how do we get the ladies to come in? How do we get the best to come and represent their reasons? How do we get the best to come and show what they have? That's the focus now. The now.
The now.
Yeah.
Charlie, this interview there, the now. You must focus on the now.
Focus on the now.
The now.
Once you focus on the now, or you focus on now, you will get a sense of what's to happen.
And don't let the past distract you.
No. If you stay too long in the past, because you succeeded in the past, you may never do better presently. Now, if you stay too long in the past, because the past had weighed you down, you may never do better. Either ways, you will be stuck in past glories.
Wow.
Like we are stuck in past glories in most of our national life.
Wow.
So we are always talking about, we used to be the biggest exporters of cocoa. We have gold, we have this. We used to have a record in that, and this, and that, and that. What about now? What is our story? Our currency used to be the best in the west coast of Africa. What about now? Our economy used to be the best in the west coast of Africa. What about now? We didn't used to be the most prominent in Galamsey. What about now? we didn't used to be the best in corruption. What about now?
What about now?
So it's about now. Because if you keep sticking to the past, you would never do better in the present. And that's, for me, is something that the young people must focus on and move away from the pity parties. You see a lot of young people like yourself wallowing in pity parties. And yeah, media, I come from a very poor background and I don't have this. My mother died at this age. My father, all of that. But you have not died. God has not killed you. You have had education. So there's a reason God has sustained you up until this time. And He wants you to do better, to help people who may have fallen into your predicament, you know, in future. And so if you keep staying stuck there, it means that you are not opening any door to even think of holding the door for others to come through. You get the point?
I do.
So focus on now.
Now, as a host of New Day on TV3, someone who constantly talks about national issue, do you have hope in Ghana?
Yes, there's hope in Ghana. There's hope if we allow the systems to work. There'll be even greater hope if we all think nationalistically. And sometimes I get the headache, and which is why you will find me asking a lot of questions and interrupting sometimes what my guests are saying, because some of the things they're telling you really is all about equalization. These people did this in the past. We are doing this, is better than theirs, or is almost like theirs. Theirs was worse than ours, or ours is worse than theirs. And I get there. So I ask myself, how does the average taxpayer benefit from all of this equalization that's happening? Because it's not as if we lack the ideas. It is not as if we lack the human capital. It's not as if we lack the skill and zeal to do the things we want to do. Half of the time it's just unwillingness to do, and half of the time we aim too low and we hit than trying to aim high and missing. Because if you set you read that GRA, for example, exceeded its revenue target for last year, even though we were in COVID. GRA aimed too high. Okay, they realized that it was not going to work. They brought it down, and then they delivered. You must have that kind of conversation. That kind of conversation where we can do it, we can do it, we can do it. And we decide that we're going to put the right people in the right places to do the job. Not because they are party people, not because they have a godfather somewhere, not because we think that they have a certain connection with people, but people who are qualified to do the work. Once we start thinking along those lines, we will be fine. But if we keep doing this, matry makwe, adanko dada adwe, matry makwe, adanko dada adwe, matry makwe means mamin try
okay,
adanko dada adwe.
Okay.
If we keep doing that, we're going nowhere. If we keep doing that, we're going nowhere. So, for example, China is producing cocoa now.
Yeah.
They're exporting to Belgium. Mondelez is a very big snack producer. They use cocoa to produce most of their snacks. Olam, they buy cocoa around the world. Olam buys from us, and Mondelez buys from Olam. Now, Mondelez and Olam have teamed up to cultivate 2,000 hectares of cocoa, high tech, and harvest it same. You saw how the Chinese were drying their cocoa beans. Not like what my grandfather and your grandfather would do in the village, where we cut the pod, we split it, we pour the beans on, plantain leaves, then we spread it out, it rains, it gets in, we start the process all over again, we put it on bamboo mats, and then we spread it out. It stays in the sun for how long before we harvest it, put it in a sack, go and wait before it goes. Now, these guys are doing it 2-3 times faster, maybe 8 times faster. So when something like that is happening, your Greek minister should not be telling you not to be worried, but he should be telling you what alternatives have been put in place for that to happen. When you see the Chinese producing gari, you should be worried because nobody is telling you how we are going to make gari a bigger conversation on the industrial scale. Because the look and feel of the new gari that the Chinese are doing will be tempted. You'll be tempted to go and buy some. I buy my gari from Mafi Kumasi, or my suppliers from there bring it. And I've been there once, I've seen that, look, the making of gari is a whole value chain where people eat from. So there are those who plant the cassava, there are those who harvest the cassava, there are those who bring the cassava home, there are those who peel the cassava, there are those who grate the cassava, there are those who wash the cassava before it's grated, there are those who put the cassava that's grated into a sack, there are those who put blocks on the cassava for the water to drain, there are those who collect the water and do with it, starch with it. There are those who also make cassava dough from the residue of what is left. There are those who come and now fry the gari. There are those who sift it. There are those who bag it. There are those who bring it. There are those who sell it in the market.
And there are those who eat it.
And there are those who eat it. Now, if you allow for all these blocks of people to lose their job because you are not competing effectively with another country that has more power, that has cheaper manpower, that has more money that you go and borrow from, and is not doing the same thing you are doing, and you tell me I should not be worried, it's problematic.
Yeah.
So you see where we are going?
Yeah.
So I have hope in Ghana to the extent that we will wake up, smell the coffee, and not think like we used to think, but think on that global pedestal and know that people are demanding leadership and vision, and that's what we must give them. That's all.
Nice one. What is your biggest interview you think you've had so far?
Every interview is big. Every interview is big. I've interviewed the Oga Kwata Kwata from BBC. I've interviewed the National Chief Imam when he was 100, prayed for me. I've interviewed Nana Konadu Ajima Rawlings. I've interviewed the BBC presenters. I've interviewed our own ministers of state. So many others. I think that every interview is great. For me, I like to look for the small things about big people and the big things about small people. And that makes, for me, the news.
Nice one. And wrapping up, people watching you would want to know if growing up you passed through any challenges that nearly killed your vim. I mean, any maybe struggles in life?
Well, it's quite interesting. My story is one that I should say God himself orchestrated it. At age 5, I nearly died.
Wow.
Yeah, I was written off by the doctors. They said, you are going to die.
Hey.
Yeah, so go and prepare and bury him. I was discharged, yeah, go home. And my mother wouldn't sleep. She's my prayer warrior, comfort, I like to call her. She's my prayer warrior because they give me blood infusion and the blood would not go and I would pee everything out. It was that serious. What condition it was, I don't know, but I was going to die. And
wow,
here I am today. I'm not
at
dead.
age 5.
Yes, I'm not dead. And my mother would struggle it out with the doctors. In fact, I had uncles who were professors of medicine who said, no, this one, it's gone beyond what we... In fact, I have uncles who are professors of medicine who said, no, this is not going to happen. I mean, let's just, you had been written off that you're gone. And here you are today because your mother didn't give up, God didn't give up on you. So I take my God seriously, which is why I still find time to go to church every now and then, which is why I still serve on the church board, which is why I still play my keyboard in church and sing in church. Okay. I don't do it because I think it's fashionable, it's fun. I do it because I think it's service to God. Okay. And I do it because I know that my mother, for example, made a pact with God and said, well, if you save his life, I am going to give him to you to worship you like how Samuel was given to God in the Bible.
Wow. So
it's my mother's covenant with God.
I see.
I have adopted that covenant because I've seen God is good and I must worship him. He deserves to be worshipped.
Interesting.
So that's what I do. And
so I'm right to call you Johnny Samuel?
No, I like to be called John.
Johnny?
Yeah.
There's Samuel at the background?
No, I don't. I don't want to be called Samuel.
Okay.
I'm sure that my parents knew why they called me Johnny. And John holds a place of pride in the Bible as well. The story of John the Baptist. There's so many Johns in the Bible who did very great stuff. Yeah, so I like to be called John. Yeah.
We are grateful to God for saving your life, and I pray he gives you like 70 more or 80.
God decides.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we will wait on him. Yeah.
Do you fear death?
Well, everybody will die. Question is, you don't know when you will die. And this kind of work that we do is quite a dangerous job. Somebody could put your picture up, the next moment you're gone. Somebody could make you a target. You could be on an assignment, be on the back of a motorbike covering a demonstration. Somebody could knock your bike off and you'll be dead. There are risks in life. So everybody will die. We don't know when, but we pray that when death comes calling, we will be in the good books of God.
Have you considered writing a book?
Not yet. I think that I'm still too young. There's so many things I have done. Yes, I agree. I have had one of many firsts. For example, the first time I saw a radio console was the first time I ever sat and went on air on radio.
I see.
On what is now Vision 1, which used to be Pravda Radio, 93.5 on the Spectex Road, to host the morning show. So I've been a morning man all through my media career. The first time I saw the insides of a proper TV studio like GBC was the first time I went on air to do a live show. The first time I had a chance to get closer to a reality show was the first time I hosted the biggest reality show on the west coast of Africa, Ghana's Most Beautiful. I could go on and list so many firsts that I've had. The first time that I was just yanked off radio one morning and I was told that somebody is not bright enough, who is not turning up, so I need to go and be on TV3 New Day, and here I am. So there are too many firsts in my life, and I think that at the appropriate time we'll document it. At the appropriate time we'll document all of it.
I think First John will be better for the first, first radio, first TV, first.
Well, Manasseh has
John.
the franchise for the John, so I'll leave that for him. He's a good brother, so I'll leave that for him. Yeah.
Johnnie Hughes,
Yeah.
I mean, it's been fantastic talking to you.
Right.
I'm so glad you had time to grant me this interview.
Most grateful. It's for God and country. My simple advice to my colleagues in the media as we go is that the media space you hold is not for you. The media space, whether it's you're on radio, you're on TV, is not for you. The media space is being held in trust for the people of Ghana who own the space. So in as much as you may have an employer who may be tied to the apron strings of some politician, and of course the adage says don't bite the hand that feeds you, know that your first duty, like a medical doctor, is to the people. And if you are not true to that call, then you have no business being around a media house. And it doesn't behove on a few people or a few persons to be speaking up about what's obvious. If the lights go off in my area, it doesn't suppose that everybody's prepaid meter is finished, or prepaid credit, I must say, everybody's prepaid credit is finished. It only means that there's a fault somewhere. And asking questions is not a crime. Asking the questions, why did the lights go off, is not a crime. Asking questions, why am I paying for water and the water that is being supplied to my house is dirty, is not a crime. Asking questions, why am I buying products worth of 422 cedis and paying taxes almost 50 Ghana cedis, that's raising it to almost 480 cedis, is not a crime. You must ask that question and you must demand the answers. And if we will all learn to speak up, we will be better like the societies we go and borrow money from or go and beg for aid and grant from. And no society has developed without the media. So my colleagues in the media, young, old, retired, aspiring, it is important that you stay true to the core. Be free, be firm, be objective, be truthful, be accurate, be balanced, and the rest will be God's.
Right, that was the interview with Johnnie Hughes. He's a host on TV3. My name is Solomon Mensah. I was here with two cameramen, Richmond Tunnel and then Benjamin Tinkran. Please do subscribe to the channel so you get notified of our future uploads. Gracias.